Welcome to Wellness Warriors, a podcast addressing the root causes of illness and their natural solutions. And now your hosts of Wellness Warriors, Dr. Justin Lane and Michelle Schroeder.
Well, hello, Dr. Lane.
Hello.
And hello, Michelle.
Hi, Michael.
So good to see you guys
Justin.
today. Yep. Are we feeling fantastic today?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Do you need to do your little, come on.
Yes.
Yes. And Dr. Lane, I know you've got one too, don't you?
That's yes.
Yeah, mine is. Okay, so
We're ready.
we are all warmed up today. I know we've got a great show today. We're going to talk a little bit about mindset upgrades that create unstoppable health for life, for the rest of my life, or to have life in my life. Yes, just say yes. Okay.
Yes.
More life in your life for sure.
So tell us a little bit about more about that. I know that there's 4 hidden mindset traps that kind of block our health and happiness. Who'd like to take that ball and run with it?
I'll go ahead and start.
Yes, please.
So you can ruin your ability to make change when you think about it in the wrong way. So some of them are, I tried this once, but I couldn't keep going. It didn't work is a big one. Other people are just looking for a chance to have somebody else fix it for them. They want a quick fix, a pill for an ill. And then it's hard to change. I don't want to be that girl that has to eat a certain way, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm a big mindset guy. So I have some clients and some folks that have been on my radio show and some other podcasts that are all about mindset. And they said everything that you want to change in your life has to do with mindset. And it really doesn't matter what it is. It could be your business. It could be how you perceive yourself. It has to do with your health and your happiness. And a lot of times our mindset, we're stuck in a mindset and we don't really realize it because it's something that we kind of were stuck with, that our parents may have gifted us with this mindset that, oh, you can't do that, honey. That's for other people. That's not for you. Oh, you just need to go get a job and be a normal person. We get stuck in these mind trap things, and I can see how that would happen also in health and wellness, where you would think, I don't really want to eat that way. I don't really see it's going to make any difference. And like what you just brought up is something like, I just don't think it's going to work.
Yeah. It's a set of beliefs that we attach our behavior to.
Yeah.
And if we don't have the right beliefs, we don't do the right behavior.
Yeah, Dr. Lane, you want to chime in on that?
Absolutely agree. Yeah, mindset's the first thing we address with our clients because that's really the decision. Decide means to cut off from any other options. So when you decide to get healthy, in this case, it means there's action usually behind that. The decision's first, though. You need to decide what you want and why you want it. And if we don't know what we're shooting for, it's like, we don't know what the target is. So how do we know if we got there?
Yeah.
So that's really important, particularly with health, but in all aspects of life, staying out of a victim mentality, at least learned helplessness. Well, nothing works. I've tried everything. And, you've already defeated yourself in a sense. And so the brain's like a supercomputer. If you ask those types of questions, you'll get, crappy responses. Just like when you ask better questions, you get better answers.
Yeah.
So.
I tried to eat fruits and vegetables for like 2 months, and I just couldn't keep going. It was horrible. I don't see how you guys sustain that lifestyle, and so people just give up. It's something that they feel that they can't sustain and keep on a regular basis. Do you find that to be true?
Yes, because people don't understand that whatever design you have made for yourself of some kind of behavior change you're going to make, it does have an expiration date. It will expire and you have to redesign it. Doesn't mean that your outcome that you want has changed. It means that you have to find ways to get around real life to stay doing it.
I understand it takes about 30 days to really change your mindset or develop a new habit. So the whole point is just do it and just hang in there and just sustain it.
Yeah, the decision's within a second.
Yeah.
30 seconds. You make the decision. That's the biggest thing. Make the decision. Decide what you want. And then everything else comes out of that, the conditioning.
Yeah.
There's a little part of your brain that they're studying now called the habenula.
The what?
And called the habenula.
Isn't that a pepper?
Nope. It sounds like one, though.
The habenula, okay.
Yeah, and it's a little part of your brain that's directly connected to motivation. And I read this book called Unstoppable Brain by Babette Kira. And she's a scientist, she's a neuroscientist. And she says that if you have a perception that you have failed at something, it will trigger that habenula part of your brain, which is the kill switch to your motivation. So really the trick is to reframe failure. Like there is no such thing, just feedback.
Wow. The habenula.
Habenula.
I learned a new word today. I had no idea that was even a thing. Habenula. I'm going to say that 3 times in habenula, and then I'll learn that.
Yeah.
That's so. I understand that there are like 5 game-changing mind shifts that can actually help people accomplish their goal and get over all these things. What are those 5 game-changing mind shifts?
I wanted to go back to something that Dr. Lane said a little
Oh,
bit earlier
yeah.
before I answer that. He was talking about making that decision in the split second.
Yeah.
That's true. And then you talked about forming a habit in 30 days, which is false, actually.
Really?
Sorry to say that.
Oh, good. That's why we're here.
Yeah, it takes a lot of, you have to what do you call that? When you repattern yourself over and over again.
Recondition yourself.
Recondition yourself to do something. And Dr. Lane can speak to that really quick before we go into those other 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so basically the first thing is decide what you want in all aspects of life. But if we're talking health, it's what do I want? What are my goals? And what are my compelling reasons to pull me to those goals? So we're not always pushing. We feel that pull because it's bigger than us. Often getting healthier affects your family, your friends, your relationships. It just improves the quality of life for yourself, but also those around you. And so when first thing is decide, but then it's repetition. Repetition's the mother of skill. So we have to develop some new habits, and that takes a little bit of time and training, and it's just practice is all. So, but I think as we're doing that, we have to let go of the ones that aren't working for us, aren't getting us to where we want to go, and just let go of those or reframe them into a more empowering mode of action, right? To take the steps daily to get the outcomes you want.
Oh, okay.
So when you're willing to take a step, that just shows that's the first thing, that you have a belief that you can create these health habits, that you can reform your automatic conditioning. I mean, everybody, when you learn to drive a car, you first have to really concentrate on it. And then later you can talk and you can hardly notice that you just went past 3 exits when you're up in your mind. You know what I mean? Because the brain knows how to take a shortcut and make something more automatic because it needs to save time and energy. And so it takes shortcuts like that. When you very first start learning something new and you haven't learned the shortcuts yet, it can feel a little overwhelming and difficult. But if you keep pursuing it, it becomes easier and easier. So the belief that you can.
Yes, and it's the whole thing of progress, not perfection, because a lot of folks get paralyzed by the overwhelm or the need to feel like they have to do it perfectly. You don't need to do it perfectly. You just need to do it. You need to start and make progress. And that's, with eating as an example, people beat themselves up left and right because they made a mistake or they didn't do it right. And that's okay. We all learn. There's only learning and winning, sort of, as far as I see it. So if we're not getting the outcome, then change the approach. But be consistent and make progress. That's really the key, is what we try to inspire people to do. You don't have to be perfect. This is all new for a lot of people. So it's taking steps and being consistent, and before you know it, you're where you want to be. So
I like your term of progress, not perfection. That might be why some people just kind of give up and say, "Oh, I'm not perfect yet. I'm not doing this. I have to do these things. I haven't done them. What's the point?"
Right.
And all or nothing just doesn't apply when it comes to getting healthy. There is no such thing as the perfect protocol. You have to do it, or you may do it perfectly, or you may as well not do it at all. We have a whole ecosystem in our bodies, and it responds to our thoughts even. It responds to all the inputs that we put into our body, and it'll affect things. But you can't blow it in one meal. You can only blow it if you completely forget to keep trying and keep redirecting, like Dr. Lane said.
Is that one of the ways that we may be inadvertently self-sabotaging our health plan by striving for perfection and not changing our mindset to the progress, not perfection, is what we need to be doing.
It's one of the reasons people can't sustain it, because they feel like there's a perfect protocol and they can't keep going on it. And that's just not the way it is.
So do you have some solutions to help people to sustain it?
Sure.
Well, the first thing I do with my clients is and this goes back to what he's already said, but I will ask them, what do you want in the context of your health? And they can't just give me, the first answer usually isn't really what they want.
Feel healthier. All right.
You know, it has to
Eat
be
an
a little
apple, you
deeper.
feel healthier, right?
Yeah.
Not specific enough.
Yeah, it has to be kind of more of your why. Why do you want it? What do you really want? What you really want is to get down on the floor and play with your grandchildren.
Good point.
That's
Good
what you
point.
really want. You want
Yeah.
to be able to keep up on that hike you're going on. You want to keep playing a sport you play. You want to, have pain-free days where you can garden all day.
Yeah.
That's what you want. You don't want to eat right. That's not too exciting.
No, it's not too exciting. Yes.
It is to me, but yeah, I'm
But
strange
but,
on
mo-
that one.
but most people, they know that that's a means to getting what they want, but they really need to get into that feeling of what they really, really want. And then I always ask, this is how you get to what they really want. I always ask, so Susie, when you have what you want, how will you know?
Oh, that's a good one. How will you know when you have what you want? That's almost cosmic.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
it
really
actually gets them
good.
into their senses a little bit. Like, what will you be experiencing when you have what you want? And I get them to use all their senses. What will you be seeing, smelling, tasting, touching? What will you be experiencing? So that they can really go there and really put themselves in that state.
So you actually help them to visualize that state, which helps to change their mindset and help them to stay on track to accomplish the goal.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah, we're state
That's-
changers, I think. We encourage people
that's
to
really good.
state change because you make better decisions when you're in a better state, peak state.
So, what are some excuses that people give you when they come to you and they say, "Okay, I made this decision, but I don't know, it's really hard for me to change. I've been doing it this way for 40 years, and I know I need to change, but I don't know if I really want to change because change is kind of hard, and I'm not really good at change." Is that like a typical thing that you guys might hear?
Usually the people we work with are actually ready to
They're
make
ready?
changes. So I don't really hear that so much as they come upon a barrier. And then as a health coach, it's my job to help them overcome the barrier. So he talked about, we are state changers. So I say to them, all right, when you no longer have this problem and such thing is not an issue for you anymore, how do you want to be different? And
That's good.
they get into a better state that way. And yesterday I worked with a client and she's just neglecting planning and prepping and stuff that would help her eat better. And so we not only, how do you want to be different when this is no longer a problem, got her clear into a time in her life when she really felt that already, got her clear into the state, totally helping her with that. And then asked her to rethink about the problem, and it wasn't the same. It had changed. So it wasn't as overwhelming and heavy as it was before. Then I asked her, so when you're doing this, remember how you were on this other thing that was a process? And you were learning this and how that felt? How do you want to feel while you're doing this? So then we get them in the state of their process energy. Like, how do you want to be while you're doing it? You don't want to be dreading it and drudgery and I hate this and this is hard. You want to be kind of like you are on something you've already learned that you love doing.
How can I get healthier and enjoy the process? That's the question, because we want to get healthier, and people put these barriers mentally. Oh, it's going to be deprivation, and I'm not going to be able to eat what I want. What got you sick, in other words.
Yeah.
So how do we enjoy getting healthier? That's more empowering question to ask and focus on, rather than eliminate, and feel like I can't eat anything but my fingernails and pine bark. You know what I mean? That's not the idea.
Pine bark. I hear pine bark is good.
It is good for your immune system, I have to say that. But
with a habanero pepper. My favorite. I have a quick question. When you're talking about state, you mentioned state. Are you talking like a state of mind or like a mindset? So that you're a state of mind changer. You're a mindset changer. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah,
so,
we kind of talk about a triad, if you will. There's a triad, and at the bottom of it is your physiology, your body, your movement, how you move your body. If you're not moving your body, we want to try to move the body, because we get chemicals moving. The brain releases chemicals. The body starts to change when you move.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's our focus. What do we focus on? We get more of what we focus on. So where energy goes, focus goes, energy flows. So when we focus on things that are empowering and creating health, we're going to get that. Just like the brain is a supercomputer, right? Whatever we focus on, we get more of. And then the language and the meaning that we give things. Language is really important. The words we use create emotion,
right.
create state. So the language we're using, there's something called a mood meter that can be used, because we can use language that empowers us. We can use language that disempowers us. And so it's just being aware of that on a day-to-day basis, that the words we're using impact how we feel, and the focus and the meaning that we give things. So it's constantly adjusting that triad of physiology, focus, and meaning. And those are things that kind of create our model of the world, if you will.
Can you give us some examples of words that affect us both positively and negatively that you've seen in your experience?
Absolutely, yeah.
I was just going to say, what affects me positively could be a completely different word than what would affect somebody else positively.
Oh.
And as a neuro coach, I'm very careful to repeat the client's own words, because it's wired into their system in a certain way that has meaning to them. If I change the word that they're giving me when I say, what's that like for you when you were in this state that you want to be in?
Yeah.
And they give me a word, I say, oh, joyful? Because they said that's a word, right? They say, oh, I want to be free. You want to be free? Because when you use the words that they use, it's in their nervous system in a way that will completely make them get into that state. If they say, I want to be free, and I say, oh, and I use a negative connotation on it, I say, oh, you don't want to be in prison, that'll just take them right out of the state. So words are very important.
Oh, that's a really powerful and interesting concept. So now when a customer or a client comes to you guys and you're working together, I'm presuming that you collaborate on these things, and Michelle would tell you these are the positive words that she has affirmed back to me, and you guys work together to create a program and a plan for them. How do you guys work together on that?
He's the science guy.
So
he's the science guy. I collaborate with him more on the physiology part of things, of what's going on in their blood work or their testing or things like that.
Okay.
And yes, he works on mindset too, but I usually work pretty much on that more individually without collaborating with him on that. But we do get permission from our clients to share information that would help them have the most success.
So the two of you together create the total package, so to speak.
yeah, the mind and the body.
Yeah, mind and the body. There you go. That's pretty impressive. Are there certain things that you use solutions to give to people to help them overcome some of these roadblocks that they're experiencing?
Absolutely. Yeah. One I know of, and you can elaborate a lot more, but I try to help people visualize their future and how what they're doing here is affecting their family. For example, if they're changing their diet, let's say they have an autoimmune condition, chances are their children or possibly grandchildren are going to also have an autoimmune condition. They tend to run in families. And so one thing I try to really empower my clients with is, hey, this isn't about you. It is, but it's about your family. It's about the next generation, because your children or grandchildren are autoimmune, most likely. They may know or not know, but point is, the things that you're learning here, you can pass on down the generations, and that just enhances the fulfillment factor, and the fact that they're making, generational changes. That's pretty powerful when you can have that opportunity to work with people on that
That is
level.
powerful. I didn't really realize that an autoimmune system or disease could be genetic, and they might be passing that along to their kids, who might be passing it along to their kids, which is why people may be stuck in this mindset for generations, because it all goes back to the original source.
And then there's this thing called epigenetics, which overtakes the genes. It decides whether it's going to get turned on and act a certain way or not. So we're really trying to, with our mindset stuff, is use the power of environment, epigenetics, things that we can control, that's within our own power, to get over the whole, oh, I can't help this, there's nothing I can do, it's in my genes. Because there is a lot you can do. And probably 30% of it's genetic.
I'd say even less. I'd say probably like 10% of genes is what we call genotype, meaning that's what that's the hardware passed down from our parents. That's the 10% of genes that can't really be changed. But 90% is our lifestyle. So genes turn on and off. Remember the movie Big?
Yeah, I do remember
Right?
that.
He's on the piano. So your genes light up like that during the day. You eat, you smoke a pack of cigarettes today, you're going to suppress the good genes, you're going to promote the negative ones, as an example. You eat well, you're going to elevate positive genes, healthy genes, you're going to suppress unhealthy genes. So that's a fluid process. Who you're hanging out with, who you spend time with, the thoughts you're having, all of that impacts genetic expression, which is pretty powerful to think about, because we have more control than we maybe thought we did based on how we live our life.
Wow. That makes total sense to me right now. So everything we think, do, talk about, and consume can turn on or off our genes that control those things. I like the genetic expression or genetic suppression.
Right.
Wow, that's a
Yeah,
powerful
in
concept.
fact, they've done some studies with like a AIP protocol, autoimmune protocol, with Hashimoto's, and they found out that the RNA expression, when they heal their gut, the RNA expression of genes changed. It actually downregulated inflammation, upregulated anti-inflammatory.
Yeah.
So there's studies that actually prove this. And earlier he said, about physiology, and you change your physiology. And I always say psychology follows physiology. So if you're in a slumpy little mood, just like you saw when we first came on this podcast, you did your little guitar thing. He did whatever he does, and I was like, yes, that's the one of the fastest ways to get your mindset where you want it, is just change your physiology if you don't like how you're feeling.
Wow, that's a really good concept. So I have another quick question before we head on down the road here. I know a lot of people may be thinking, I know I'm not really feeling my optimized self, but I should probably just wait and go get an official diagnosis, and then I'll figure it out. Because I'm just so busy with my life, I really don't have time to do this. How can someone find support to really help them? Do they need to wait for an official medical diagnosis, or can they just...
No, decide. Decide you want to get healthier. We don't need to wait for more labels and more time to go by. I mean, that's just kicking the can down the road for most people.
Yeah.
And it's an excuse. So the sooner the better. But when that time is right, that time is right. But it's decision. Let me get healthier, and then everything else comes from that.
You are in charge of your health and the outcome for your health. Nobody else is. And nobody else cares as much as you do.
Oh, that's a really good point. So let's say that I am ready. I have made the decision. What do I need to do? I know that you offer a free consultation for your services if somebody wants to know more.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, we both do. We offer a complimentary, either a discovery call or an in-office consultation, usually about 30 minutes. And that's for us really to get to know you and what you want and what you're looking for. And we feel like we're a good fit, I mean, the key things for clients we work with is that they're willing to make some diet and lifestyle changes.
Yeah.
And they're motivated to improve their health. And they're, out of a 10, there may be an 8, 9, or a 10 in terms of their motivation. That's key. That's critical for us to be able to help people. And so when they do make it to us eventually, really we're starting at ground zero in the sense that we have to understand the root causes of what's driving their symptoms. And that's what's been ignored and will be ignored in primary care. It's a symptom-only approach. There's never a cause approach, really, what's causing those symptoms. So by the time a lot of folks come to us, they're sick and tired of feeling sick and tired. They've gone through the medications, the surgeries, the injections, and they're not any better. They're often worse, and they're more less empowered or powerless, feeling powerless. And so we really design an approach that gets to the root cause. The starting point is usually running some really comprehensive labs, usually blood work to start with, because most times people go to primary care and they say, yeah, I've had my labs done, and they're incomplete at best, and they're usually not giving us the information we actually need to know to what's causing anything. It's $10 worth of lab work that you get at a physical, and it's focused on all the wrong things.
Yeah. So how can someone get a hold of you if they'd like to ask questions or book a consultation?
Well, certainly can call us at Elemental Natural Medicine. We're at elementalnaturalmedicine.com, or call us 435-246-7642. That's a great starting point.
Yeah. And Michelle, how about you?
Go to kmichelleschroeder.com and book a Discover Your Triggers session with me.
Okay.
Or call me at 435-268-5352.
Do that number one more time.
Sorry, I went a little bit fast. 435-268-5352.
Cool. And that is the letter K, not the word K-A-Y.
Thank
so
you
the
for
letter
clarifying.
K, Michelle with
One L.
One L, and spell Schroeder.
Schroeder.
Excellent. So coming up, I know the next podcast episode, we're going to be talking about autoimmune problems. You want to give us a little teaser on that?
Give us a teaser on that one.
I'm trying to
The next
Well, how
podcast-
you might know that what you're dealing with, like some people are in different stages of autoimmunity. So what my teaser is say, if you're kind of wondering if maybe your symptoms could be caused by autoimmunity, but you're not really sure, or maybe your doctor suspects autoimmunity, but he's not really sure, listen to our next podcast.
Cool. Hey, we'll see you guys again next time with another exciting episode of the Wellness Warriors.
This has been Wellness Warriors, giving people the knowledge to have a healthy and vibrant life. For more information, elementalnaturalmedicine.com and kmichelleschroeder.com. We invite you to join us next time for another edition of Wellness Warriors.